Hey there world, I'm your friendly internet DM devious, and this is the Beginner's Guide to D&D 3.5. Today, we're going to start talking about making your first character, and in order to do that, we have a lot of ground to cover and concepts to define. So to start off, we're going to talk about ability scores. Ability scores are the most fundamental statistic when referring to your character's capabilities. They're a set of 6 numbers that document a character's physical and mental attributes in a way that makes them comparable to every other creature in the game. Barring some special exceptions, every creature in D&D has all of these 6 ability scores: Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. Let's start off with Strength. Strength is fairly self-explanatory in that it's a measurement of a character's physical power. Strength is important for melee combat in that a higher strength makes a character better at landing blows and makes them do more damage. A high strength also gives a character bonuses on rolls that involve feats of strength or athleticism and makes them able to carry more. Dexterity is a measurement of a character's agility and reflexes. A high dexterity makes characters better at landing hits with ranged weapons like bows, makes them more difficult to hit in combat, makes them better at dodging out of combat, and gives them a bonus on rolls that require hand-eye coordination or physical control. Constitution shows a character's hardiness and stamina. It increases your character's hit points, or if you're unfamiliar with the term, how much damage they can take before they die. A high constitution also makes characters better at resisting poison or disease. Intelligence shows how well a character learns and, basically, how intelligent they are. Characters with high intelligence have a wider range of skills, have bonuses on rolls that require reason or logic, and can speak more languages right from the beginning of the game. Wisdom describes a character's perception and willpower. Characters with higher wisdom scores are more aware of their surroundings and are better at exerting their will. They have bonuses to resist mind control and similar effects, as well as bonuses to rolls that require acute perception or intuition. And finally, Charisma, a character's force of personality. Charismatic characters are persuasive, magnetic, and highly influential. All rolls that involve an attempt to influence another person or creature involve Charisma. I know that's a lot to take in, but we're going to elaborate on most of these points in future episodes. For now, all you really need to know about the abilities is what they're called and in general what they're for. So, now that we've mentioned each ability score, let's talk about how we quantify them. When you're creating a character, you create ability scores by rolling 4d6, or 4 6-sided dice, discarding the lowest roll and adding the remaining 3 up, and repeating the process until you have 6 numbers. Then, you assign the scores depending on what kind of character you want to play. The average human has a score of 10 in every category, meaning that they have 10 strength, 10 dexterity, etc. The average score for a player character, however, is more like 12 or 13. So let's go over an example. Let's say we're rolling up a character and we roll our ability scores. We roll 4d6 6 times, always dropping our lowest, and we come up with the following values: 11, 14, 10, 16, 8, and 12. Let's arrange those ability scores to get a tough character who's good in a scrap. We'll assign the highest score to Strength to make them good on the offense, so their Strength is 16. We put the next highest score in Constitution to make them hardier, and that will give them a Constitution of 14. We could say that Dexterity is the next most important, so we put our 12 there for the bonus to dodging hits. Our Wisdom and Intelligence aren't as important to us in this specific instance, so we can put our average scores of 10 and 11 in those spots. Lastly, our below average score of 8 goes to Charisma, making our character slightly uncouth and bad with people. We can rearrange these scores with different priorities and get totally different characters with the unique personal strengths and shortcomings, and that's really part of the strength of this system. In D&D, the ability scores are part of the system that allow you to have highly varied characters from iteration to iteration, never having the same person twice. This gives us amazing variety in gameplay. So, now that we've finished up with ability scores, we need to talk about ability modifiers. The ability modifier is a number that shows how your ability scores modify your actual rolls in the game, and it's based on your ability scores. The ability modifier is what you are actually adding to your roll. Calculating your ability modifiers is fairly simple. I mentioned earlier that the average ability score for a human is 10, so an ability score of 10 will correspond to an ability modifier of 0. An average score means no modifier is applied. The same is true for 11. A score of 11 will also correspond to a modifier of 0. Every set of 2 numbers in the ability score higher or lower than 10 and 11 has a corresponding increase or decrease in the modifier of 1. So scores of 12 or 13 have a modifier of +1. 14 and 15 have a modifier of +2. And, going in the other direction, 8 and 9 have a modifier of -1. 6 and 7 have a modifier of -2, and so on. Now, that logic might be a little difficult to remember, so here's a simple formula you can always use to calculate your ability modifier. Take your ability score, subtract 10, divide by 2, round down. That will always give you the correct ability modifier. Let's go over a quick example. Take a score of 15, you subtract 10, you get 5. Divide by 2, 2.5, round down 2. The ability modifier for a score of 15 is 2. There's a lot I haven't been able to cover in this video, including a lot of uses of the scores and many more intricacies of the system. Believe me, we aren't done with ability scores and modifiers yet. Since they're so fundamental, they are going to come up a lot in the rest of the series, and we're going to continue building on this introduction. That about wraps up this intro to ability scores. Thank you for watching, and make sure to come back next time where we will continue going into how to make your first character. Bye bye.